Hello, it's Martin and I'm here at Ferrybridge services with my new company car. I'm sure I've put the fact that it's an ID.3 into the title of this video, so this should be no surprise, but don't you worry, there will be still more mini content to come, but this is what's replacing it. Specifically, it's the Pro Performance, so the middle 58 kilowatt hour battery in the family trim. And in fact, this particular version has this slightly revised interior with the slightly different seats in the front and in the back as well. It's not quite a full-on facelift, but the kind of one step in between, still running the older infotainment system. I just picked it up from the auction center and you can see it was stickered up and there is quite a bit of markings all around the vehicle, so let's remove that first of all. And here's a little behind the scenes trick of how we do it at Wisely Automotive. So you can use any regular glass cleaner, a microfibre cloth, and the hack is a fresh razor blade. So all you need to do is you wet the area, you wipe off any dirt. You want to be working on a clean glass because you don't want to have any grit scratching the surface as you are going across it with the blade. Now you wet this again, and let's make sure that I don't cut myself. Look at that, like butter. You just need to hold the blade quite flat to the glass. You don't want to introduce any sharp corners, but technically, glass is stronger or tougher than metal, so this should be no problem. Spotless. And even if we look closely, that went nicely without any scratches. So time for the ultimate boss, which is the interior rear view mirror. Well, this wobbles a bit. German build quality, but it's all fine. It's important to remember here that just slow and steady wins the race. Let's wipe off all of the marker. I think it's chalk, it gets very messy. Done. See it, say it, sort it. While I was faffing about with cleaning the glass, the car is already up to 96% charged, only pulling 22 kilowatts now. If we jump in, this is something I'm not used to coming from the Mini. Range in 3 digits beginning with a 2. That's pretty impressive and should hopefully mean that I don't need to charge on the way down. I mean, realistically, I will probably stop anyways because I will be hungry or I will need to use the bathroom. Let's go to work. I will drop it off in the car park. Yes, the route looks about correct. A1M and then M11.
Please drive to the route shown. Your route contains an essential charging stop.
We will see about that. So this one has quite a recent version of the software, so it does show me predicted state of charge and it can do the route planning as you just saw. But I think we can just about make it to the office without stopping. We will see how I get on. You see, the sat-nav is estimating that I will get to the office at 6 p.m. and it's 190 miles to go. As I mentioned, I'm not worried about range whatsoever because there's a lot of charging options along the A1M and then the M11. In fact, we have done a video for the Wisely Automotive channel where I do the exact same route from Ferrybridge services all the way down to our office, and I stop along and I show you all the charging options you have along the route, which ones are working, how the queues are and so on. So I will leave that linked in the card in the top right hand corner of this video, but as you can see, as of today, Ferrybridge is busy, but there's plenty of charging availability. No problems whatsoever on either the GridServe nor the Tesla side. Maybe we need to address the elephant in the room, and that is, why did I decide to go for the ID.3 as the company car? Well, I think in a certain sense it is a little bit of a successor to the BMW i3, being rear-wheel drive, bespoke EV architecture and so on. But yeah, they were honestly plagued by software issues back in the early days, but I thought, this should be nice and easy. This being the refreshed version, it's going to be a perfect example. Well, just for the record, I can show you that if we go into system settings and system information, that is the software version the car is currently running. And it has in fact already prompted me that there is a software update available with some small bug fixes and improvements. So I will worry about that later when I get home. And as you could probably see, I've already signed into my user profile. I'm all connected, so I've got online guidance, all of my settings get stored, etc. So that's all good. I just heard the contactors disconnect. I officially reached 100%, but the problem comes when I start the vehicle. You can use the start button, or you can just put your foot on the brake with the key inside. And there we go. Airbag warning light is on. My honest guess would be that it's a software glitch, but you know, there is no way of telling for certain until it gets plugged into the diagnostic system. It's under warranty, so it should probably go to the VW main dealer, but yeah, not exactly the best start, is it? And by the way, when we buy them through auction, we get kind of technical and mechanical reports. In this case, it was done by AA and it was all good. And it literally went through yesterday. So it must have decided that just before I'm about to collect it, it would throw a warning. That's the kind of luck I have. But whatever, let's unplug, put this back in, 46 kilowatt hours, put into the battery. I literally just picked it up as I mentioned, so the battery was cold. I didn't reach anywhere near the peak charging power, and off we go. 215 miles projected. I like that. I will make sure that I reset the efficiency stats so I can track how well or badly I'm doing. I will also reset the long term so I can compare how this does to the Mini, even though it's not going to be direct comparison. I was running the Mini on a lot of short journeys throughout winter, and obviously this is going into summertime. It's June, the sun is out, the AC is working. What's the temperature outside? How do I access that here? 20.5 degrees Celsius. Lovely. I think that's it. Let's just get going. By default, the car goes into drive. You also do get a B mode, but even in B mode, the region is very kind of lukewarm at best. And there's no way to disable creep, unfortunately. So whatever you do, the car will always kind of inch forward slowly. I'm using the built-in sat-nav because I want to know how that works in practice. I want to give that a shot, but I know this route quite well. I also get the IQ light. I don't know how that comes across on camera now because obviously it's quite sunny outside, but it is still visible to the human eye. We've already had some ID.3s in stock at Wisely. I've never had the chance to drive one. I've driven a couple of ID.4s though, and the first impressions are always how refined they are, especially for it being quite a compact class of a vehicle. You can tell it's a German car in terms of refinement and the kind of overall suspension put togetherness, if that makes sense. So now, for example, I'm doing just about 70 miles per hour and there's just the slightest hint of wind noise and possibly a little bit of road noise, but that's about it. Oh, and they still haven't finished road works here, so right into traffic. Even the stock VW sat-nav is showing me that there is some traffic along the way. This looks actually very similar to the layout you get with Waze, so I think it's only a question of how accurate is the data, because I actually don't mind the interface for it being a built-in system. I haven't connected my CarPlay yet. I will worry about that later. It's my day off today, so I shouldn't need to use the phone or WhatsApp messages or anything like that. But I will turn on the adaptive cruise control. Let's see, the minimum speed seems to be 15 miles per hour. I will bump it up to, I think it turns into a 40 section later on, to just test out how well it deals with these stop and go situations. Is it jerky? Is it smooth? There will be lots of videos to come on this car. Just like with the Mini, I want to explore everything there is to know about it. You know, how it performs in the hot weather, how it performs in the cold weather. Have the software updates really improved it compared to what it was when it launched? How does the over-the-air functionality work? Because I believe there was a bit of a gap with VW pausing the functionality for a while, but now it should be back online, etc. It has the matrix LED lights, so I definitely want to see how those perform. And the list just goes on. I know a lot of people are very skeptical about these kind of touch capacitive buttons. Maybe I'm in the minority, but I actually quite like them. Obviously, the sliders underneath the touchscreen, they really should have been backlit. That was much of an oversight, but there is an engineering reason for why they were not backlit. So if you want to learn that, definitely stick around on the channel, because we will discuss everything there is to know about these ID MEB cars. But yeah, these buttons are actually quite good, and if you just kind of lightly brush against them, they do react like you would expect them to, but they're quite far inset. So even if you kind of shuffle the steering wheel, you shouldn't have to worry about accidental activations. I'm impressed by the adaptive cruise so far, so that's very good. Yeah, I think I will just put some tunes on, listen to the radio. This being the family that unfortunately has the base level system, so no speakers in the back, but again, that's no different to an i3. So yeah, I will just play about with it, I will enjoy the journey, and I will catch up with you when something interesting happens. DAB radio station magic.
Did you mean magic radio?
Yes.
Got it.
That was quick and it worked on the first try. I don't know what people are complaining about. The journey has been fantastic so far. At one point I remember I saw that I still had 50% in the battery, but the trip computer showed that I already passed 100 miles. So theoretically the ID.3 with this battery pack really is on track for about 200 miles of real world range at motorway speeds. Having said that, I've been looking at this journey plan. I've removed the automatic charging stops, and the margin with which I will get to the office is dropping. I'm down to 3%. To be fair to the car, the gasometer has been quite steady and accurate, and it's still saying that I should get there with a few percent and 6 miles left in the battery, but that's cutting it a bit too fine in a car which I don't really know, and the sun is setting, so we will switch from using the AC to cool the cabin to the heat running, which may use a little bit more power. Secondly, I haven't had dinner and I'm hungry, so we will stop at Birchanger Green Services is a good option. Let's see, that's only 15 miles to go. I will add it as a stopover point. So yeah, less than half an hour to go, and there is plenty of chargers there. So I will just plug in for maybe 5 minutes just to get a comfortable buffer and get something to eat. Here we go, Birchanger Green Services, and just hit 20% in the battery. And I'm taking the exit. The ID light is letting me know to turn left. And given I'm in D mode, I'm nicely coasting, but it's definitely time to hit the brakes, to gently regen and slow down. And I need to be in this lane for the services. Fantastic, pulling in now. Good signage for the charging. There are both Tesla and Apple Green units, and also a couple of the legacy grid serves. But let's try the Apple Green ones, at least that's the plan. Excellent, and if we look at the stats, it's not even showing me how many percent I would have on arrival, but I checked a while ago and it dropped to 1%, so I think this was the right call. 154 miles at 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour at 58 miles per hour. I don't think that's bad. Let's plug in. And the power is ramping up and we are up to about 90 kilowatts. What do we get on the inside? The ID light is showing the charging progress. But yeah, all working as expected, and this recent software version also shows you the kilowatts in the vehicle itself. That was added later on, because in the past it used to only show you these very arbitrary details of charging, of how many miles of range you gain per minute. And other than me, we've got a little bit of an MEB gang going on here, an ID.3, and you can see how similarly shaped the Cupra Born is as well. They are very popular vehicles here in the UK, and for the right reasons. They are quite compact on the outside, so they sit well on our roads, yet quite spacious on the inside, as you can see, and with long wheelbase, so even longer distances are possible because they're comfortable. And despite the compact size, you can get them with relatively big battery packs, so they really tick quite a few of the boxes. I think they didn't sell quite as well as VW would have hoped for, but maybe that will improve with the future iterations. Anyways, I have re-enabled the route planner here in the sat-nav, so let's see what it's saying. It's happy for me to continue to the office. It says that I will arrive with 18% now, and I've literally been here only for a couple of minutes. Given I won't be charging at home, I left it on for a little bit longer, up to 45%, still taking decent charging rate, but that's more than enough to get me to the office and then get me started the following day when I pick up the car again. So I will be a good EV driver. I will move the ID.3 out of the charging bay and then get some food. With that quick pit stop over, I'm back on the M11 heading towards London. I will spare you of this last bit of the journey because it always takes forever to battle through the London traffic, even though this is actually one of the easiest routes to get into our office. But yeah, I think there will be lots to explore with this car because I've already played about with the infotainment a little bit, and it's definitely a lot better than it used to be back in the day. I remember when it launched, you couldn't really see the live status of chargers, there was no route planner, etc. Whereas now it seems to be quite good. It intelligently suggests chargers which you can use even if you don't need to. So if you're stopping, you might as well charge, which is a good EV practice to do. The graphics are reasonably good for a legacy system at least. And earlier in the journey, if I wanted to see the status of any given charger, you can literally just click on the point of interest on the map, and even before you do that, you can see a little dot next to it which indicates whether the chargers are available and working, and when you tap into them, the system gives you more information. So all quite comprehensive. This isn't just your kind of bolt-on sat-nav system taken over from the Golf and not adjusted whatsoever. I like to see that. It's obviously a shame that the ID.3 and the ID.4 didn't launch with this kind of a system, because even though the hardware can be a little bit slow at times, at least with this kind of functionality, I don't think most people would have been offended, whereas the reputational damage has already been done. Having said the good words, it is literally suggested for me to go all the way around on the M25 instead of cutting through to our office. So if we choose this route instead, yeah, that's much better. A dedicated video on the infotainment system definitely needs to happen. I take back what I've taken back about the ID.3 sat-nav, because it was actually trying to get me to avoid all of this congestion all along. So by me being stubborn and going the usual route, I ended up in this situation. So let's see, route overview. Oh no, that is very red. I think there is some protest in central London or something like that. So yeah, 35 minutes to do 4.4 miles. I had different plans for Saturday evening, but I guess this is what it is. And I finally pulled into the car park. This was absolutely ridiculous. It took me over 2.5 hours to cover 37 miles since Birchanger Green services. But if you look at the total stats for the entire journey, that's since start 191 miles in 5 hours and 16 minutes. Well, the average speed dropped as expected, but fairly decent efficiency at 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour. And I was driving in comfort mode with the heating set to 22 degrees Celsius. No compromises to squeeze out maximum mileage. I will leave the car with 27% in the battery. That translates to 65 miles because of the low speed and towards the end of the journey. So that's a nice comfortable buffer. And hey, at least I can say that I thoroughly tested the seats, and I do have to say they are very good. The form is good, you've got good side support, and even though this is the kind of more basic version with manual adjustment and no adjustment whatsoever to the lumbar support, there definitely is quite a contour to them, so you are well supported. And the surface itself, it's a very soft microfiber, super comfortable to sit on, and I didn't get sweaty at all, so that's always a good thing. I think that's about it, so we can wrap it up. I just wanted to make this quick video to tell you what's happening and to show you around this ID.3. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you would like to see about it, and how stupid of a decision I have made, and what other car I should have gone for instead. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more MEB platform content, and I will see you in the next one.